You know? No, I'm sorry. You want to go for it?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Weigh-In. I'm very excited to talk about the topic that we have for today, and the name of the topic is called Church and State.
Timely.
Okay.
Beautiful.
And it's a discussion on toxic fandom. So let me give you a definition of what the separation of church and state is. So it's a philosophic and jurisprudential concept for defining political distance in the relationship between religious organizations and the nation state. So pretty much it was established by our forefathers to separate, dogma from how the nation state is ran. But for these purposes today, we're talking about the separation of people that are toxically obsessed with, whatever fandom that they choose to watch, whether it's movies, series, whatever you have. So I will start off by bringing up a few of the bigger ones that's been going on for like the last 10 years. So there's a CW show, it's called Arrow. The main character is Oliver Queen, and there's a secondary side character named Felicity Smoke. So there's a big thing with the CW platform where they have this thing called shipping. And what shipping is, you have two characters and you want the writers to get them to be a couple.
Sure happens a lot.
Yeah, so anybody that knows the comic books and knows Oliver Queen, who's the Green Arrow, knows that he eventually gets with the Black Canary character. So they had the actual Black Canary character on the show. Apparently they didn't have chemistry, so they started to shift the love interest from the Black Canary
over to Smoke, right?
Over to Smoke. Then all the fanboys and fangirls started shipping it, so they called it Olicity. So you got one half of the fans of the show that love it, then you have another half of the fans that hate it. They think it's ruining the show. But they think it's ruining the show,
I don't think it's ruining the show.
Primarily because he's supposed to be with Black Canary, as they feel.
It's true. Well, I mean, first off, again, this all boils down to the bottom line that the people who do the casting need to cast a little bit better. If you're going to cast a lady to play the Black Canary, the female actress, and she can't bring it, then why did you even hire her? Because you must have read some scenes with her and the lead actor who plays the Green Arrow role. So they have to fall back on a secondary character, which is a nice character, but it's not really how it goes. And it's really pretty simple. The comics and the legend is written a certain way. If you don't follow it, fans take it personal. Now, I know it's toxic. It only gets toxic after they can't discuss it.
Yeah,
like you can have a suggestion, but you got to know how to talk about it.
Yeah, there's no civil discourse with these people.
Not at all.
Yeah, these people are ready to read you the riot act. They're sending death threats, and it's insane.
Well, look, we've seen it in other circles too, which are hopefully things we can discuss. But we've seen it later on. We'll talk about this.
No, absolutely. There's another one, Dan Slott with the Superior Spider-Man. So Dan Slott in the 700th issue of The Amazing Spider-Man did the unthinkable, and he killed Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for a comic book that's been out for like 5 years. But
you're using it as a good reference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Dan Slott was getting death threats on the internet, like for killing off Spider-Man.
He was.
And you, as a well-known comic, impresario, Nobody stays dead forever.
Dude, I had 25% of my Amazing Spider-Man consumers, the fellas and the boys and the girls that read the comics, that stopped buying the comics after that. They got fussy around Brand New Day when Mary Jane, when there was the marriage breakup and everything back about early 2000s.
Yeah.
They take it freaking personal. Now, Slott, he's a fairly decent writer. I believe you used to really enjoy his Superior Spider-Man,
That
correct?
Superior Spider-Man run was phenomenal.
It was, and they would not accept that.
Yeah, and you told me that the sales were good on that, right?
They still were good, but they could have been phenomenally better. So again, another example of toxicity.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Another one is Jeffrey Dean Morgan on the show, a little show you may have heard of, The Walking Dead.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. He ends up killing Stephen Yeun's character, Glenn.
Yeah.
That dude was getting death threats, and that's one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. And people were sending this guy death threats. I watched. I wasn't a true fan of The Walking Dead. I stopped watching after
season 4
or 5. You came back to see
that sequence?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I came back to see that sequence, but they have the Talking Dead, which is after, They had
It's a good show.
Yeah, they had to bring the characters out together because people couldn't disconnect.
Yeah, they had to sort of like put a little fucking spin on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and be like, yo, look at them. They're still alive.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. Now...
Well, look, they're already freaked out that same season, or was it the beginning of the next season? Because Rick went through some stuff too. There were already death threats. There was a 25% ratings drop on that season when what's his name killed the redheaded fellow. They all were on their knees. They all got
that was
bashed
the
in
same.
head.
That was the same scene with Glenn.
They took it so personal. There was they had to have bodyguards on the set.
Yeah, maybe 2 to 3 years prior to that, there was the big "If Daryl dies, we riot."
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah. If they choose to write the character off, they should have the liberty to write the character off. Who, by the way, was never in the canon of the comics.
He wasn't going nowhere. You're right, because AMC created that character to put some pressure on Robert Kirkman, who owns the Walking Dead rights. So that character they never even gave him the benefit of the thank you. Like, hey, you can use him for one episode in the comics. They barred him from the comics. That character.
Oh wow,
it's pretty freaking jive when you think about it.
That's crazy.
AMC tried to take over a little more control of everything, and there's a lot of toxicity on that show too. Where wasn't Kirkman in over $100 million with some other associates he was working with? Also, they weren't being paid. Best rated show for a period of about 4 or 5 years in there, making buku dollars on the ratings. The rate cards go up when the show gets top rating, right? The dollar rates per head are phenomenal. They were claiming they didn't have any money, they weren't able to recoup.
I'm not buying it.
I don't blame you. It's full of shit. But that's how they operate. But anyway.
Now, and the last one I want to bring up is the one that really drove it home to me and it made me really want to do this episode was the James Corden thing where he accidentally spoiled one of the episodes of the final season of Game of Thrones. And then some guy on Twitter sent out a tweet, I hope your son gets cancer. His young son is a child, like 3 or 4. Like, that's insane.
No, that's just beyond recompense.
You're not a hero for that. There's no valor. There's no... You don't get a stripe. Like, I don't get
No, it's cowardliness is what it is.
You're a coward because you're doing it over the internet. You're a child because whatever part of your brain that's not allowing you to process that, yes, he made a faux pas, but it can get overlooked. You shouldn't wish death or harm on his child.
No doubt about it. You cross the line when you start bringing the reality of things in. First of all, it's a fictional show. Written by a writer who's probably a little slow in getting his books finished. Somebody will probably complain about this comment I just made.
Yeah.
But look, it's only relative just to just conversation. When somebody's a writer or an author or a reviewer, whatever it is, they spend years to learn how to write and to equate their argument into a good discussion.
Yes.
They don't go to college or whatever it is to become a good writer and all of a sudden, guess what? I'm going to be a good reviewer because I'm going to be nasty and negative towards everybody. And because of things like the internet and all this, people have this, we used to call it beer muscles in the old days when you went to a bar. Dudes would start drinking beer and you look at his girlfriend. Everybody wants to fight, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody has any understanding of what's really going on. Well, that's what's sort of kind of correlating into the world of all the stuff we're talking about.
No, absolutely.
Nobody has any experience on having conversations and dispelling and talking about the conversation.
Yes. It's called civil discourse, people, where two people are able to talk and disagree. Everybody doesn't have to like everything.
Correct.
Everybody doesn't have to be congruent in that sense of the word. See, what I think a lot of it stems to is, you ever hear the saying, job description equates to life description?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Where people like, I'm a firefighter. Well, I think it translates, and I think it also crosses over. If people watch a show, it's kind of like they're in a certain tribe. Like, we watch the Walking Dead, or we watch Game of Thrones. And they want to tell you about it. They want to discuss it.
They're all
experts. Reddit forums.
Yeah, you can't have any point of view on it at all, right? The Reddit drives are out there.
Yeah, they try to tell the writer.
Fan club.
They try to tell the writer when he's doing wrong. No, you messed this up. Let the dude write the book.
Let him write it,
Or let the woman write the book. People get so obsessed with these fictional characters. I think a lot of it is the fact that they can't disassociate. And most of these shows are like dramas. Yeah. So you're already activating the amygdala, which is, is part of the limbic system. And, it has to do with decision making. It has to do with emotion. And I think people's amygdalas get stimulated to such a high level that when something doesn't go their way on the show, Like, they just lose their minds. Like, there's a petition right now for Robert Downey Jr. to come back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Come on now, really?
The dude's almost 60. Maybe he loves playing a role. Maybe he's sick of it. But let the dude go. Even and like to a degree, you feel a certain sense of ownership. Like when I heard Arrow was getting canceled after this upcoming 8th season, I was a little bit torn. But then I was like, this guy gave me 8 seasons. He spent a lot of time away from his family because he's a Canadian boy. He lives in Vancouver.
Did we shoot in Vancouver, possibly?
Yeah. No, he lives in Hollywood. He's a Canadian boy, but he lives in Hollywood, but they shoot in Vancouver. They shoot all the CW shows in Vancouver. He lives in Hollywood. He wants to be with his family. He's on this set 9 to 10 months out of the year for the last 8 years. He's got a wife, he's got kids.
Yeah, if he had a young newborn when he started that show, that kid's almost 10, 12 years old now.
Yeah, and he did.
And he's probably done nothing major with his son, except for maybe, when you're loaded, you could probably do a lot of things.
Well,
I'm talking about when you're rich.
He's getting to do things, but none of that equates to actual time.
No, I totally agree.
He does not get to tuck his kid in every night because he's doing this show. And I feel that people are just ungrateful. Be grateful for what you got. If you got 3 episodes or you got 8 episodes, be grateful for it.
I totally agree. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you got all the legitimate reasons to be sort of upset that the show was running out too. You were a big fan back in the 2nd and 3rd season when we first started hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and our friend Nicky there, he likes the show a lot.
He likes it, yeah.
But you know how to discuss it. You know, even the subjects you mentioned today are prime examples of you understand as a mature person how to deal with it. Life goes on. I'll find something else. You know.
Yeah, and you got to think of it like this. Remember the Infinity comic, the new one, where they had Thanos,
Sure.
not the Infinity War, but like Infinity, the Hickman one. So there was a joke that just came into my brain, and it was like, infinity, nothing lasts forever. Okay? You know, it's kind of a play on words. Nothing lasts forever. And like, I accept that. Plus, when something ends, that's a door for something else that may be better or different to come in. And I want to see what this new thing is.
Yeah, the new direction, sure.
Yeah. I am grateful for what was given in the past, but I'm always looking towards the future. You don't know what could come from the future. You don't know, like, as much as we love Robert Downey Jr., as much as he was such a pivotal part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we have no idea who could be coming that may blow our socks
exactly.
off.
Life goes on. They know how to cast people who can act in certain ways. We could get another character like that again. You know, there's something interesting that I was just noticing. It came to my mind when you were talking about it. It's like during the last, say, 10-year period when Marvel did all their films and everything. Okay, what we did is we got Walking Dead that ran congruent with that.
Yes, sir.
Right. We also got we had the Arrow, as we talked about, a lot of CW shows. We also had the Game of Thrones.
Yes, sir.
Right now, all the shit and stuff that everybody's been talking about, all the problems and everything, all seem to connect to everybody that watches a lot of these shows that are all on the streaming networks. So it's like, what does that mean? It's kind of weird. I mean, are they so tied into everything? Will they even buy into the next super mega villain that Marvel tries to introduce? I think they will. But I mean, they just got basically breastfed. All these other shows did too. They breastfed their fans who might have been 10, 15 years old, who are now 25, 26, 24. I mean, a lot of these people do have to kind of mature a little bit and go with the flow. This is just how it works. I mean, this is not that alarming. This is all just fiction.
Yeah.
You know, Martin wasn't the only guy to write stuff, and Hickman wasn't the only guy to create The Walking Dead, etc.
Yeah.
There are other things out there, and there will be other great shows, like you said.
Yeah.
There's going to be somebody great they're going to cast that's going to blow us away in some role.
Yeah. You ever heard of trolling?
Oh yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah,
that's part of what you're talking about. Almost.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what we're talking about, and it also ties into all these other things where people kind of get like a kick out of trying to get a rise out of other people.
They really do.
But
I ran into that problem in the store. Actually,
when it's malicious, when it's hurtful, when you're really trying to tear somebody down, I do not approve. I do not approve.
I don't approve
it
at all.
It sickens me. And
if you want to hearken our first episode, which is Learn from Your Enemies, we've referenced things that relate to this a little bit. It's like you have to put your foot down every now and then because there's a systemic problem going on that needs to be addressed, and not in a physical way because we're able to discuss it and work on it as mature adults. But a lot of people need to learn how to grow up. You know, remember when I was growing up? I remember my son would always be sort of rebellious because they don't want to react towards the father figure, or they don't want to have to hear your father tell you what's right, because that's just the thing that young boys do. Your dad probably did it with you also.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of these people, I'm an adult, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people that I work with and associate with hate to hear facts and thoughts from me as an adult and a parent adult. They don't want to hear a parent's point of view because he's older and they're younger, and this is what they want to do at their age level and their era of rebelliousness.
Yeah.
It's strange. I mean, I'm looking forward to see if there's going to be some really good structural changes in the human species coming up soon, because it's frustrating the hell out of me.
No, absolutely. And the thing about, like, you should take advice from older adults because, like, they're sapient. They're a little bit wiser strictly because they already went through it. And most of the times they're trying to help you. But the toxic
Toxicity,
fandom,
yeah, sure.
yeah, is like, it's just a plague and it needs to end. Do not encourage it. Do not support it. It's just a bad thing.
Well, look,
us at the weigh-in, we do not support it.
No, we totally don't. But look, I still have confidence in the human person that we are, the structure, the human being and whatnot. We can pull out of it. We're talking about things that are important to discuss, but I have confidence this will straighten itself
Yeah,
out.
and us getting this, the discussion, the conversation started, I think is going to go a long way. And I think more platforms, more YouTubers, more podcasters need to talk about this.
You're absolutely right. And I think they will, and I think we will obviously come back and address this a couple times.
Definitely.
Another amazing episode, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, way to go.
But what the world didn't know at the time is almost half a year later, on August 28th, 1917, a child named Jacob Kurtzberg would be born, who would forever change the landscape of comic books, cartoon strips, and even later, 14 years after his death on February 6, 1994, would change the silver screen and how the world at large views heroes and superheroes. So we here at the Weigh-In invite you on a journey to celebrate the life of a modern-day Caesar, a titan of innovative illustration, a Shakespeare of storyboards and panels, a genius who is regarded as having an unmatched skill with his pencil. Ladies and gentlemen, today's veneration is for the legend, Mr. Jack Kirby.
Holy cow! What are you, like? You a spokesman for the UN? That was amazing.
Had to give it up for Jack, man.
You told me you had something special you were writing, and I'm telling you right now, Jack is saluting you. Like,
I wanted to impress you. I wanted to do good for Jack.